What's up, guys?
Hey.
We're joined by the Beast.
Emily Beast, not Bachwick.
Did that start? Was that Shannon that started that?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Oh my god.
Yeah, she was like my producer.
Did she start that like at the time, or is this a new thing, Emily Beast?
No, this was like during All Stars.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I don't know where it came from. I think it was like my challenge prowess or something. I don't know.
He kept winning challenges over and over.
I know. Yeah. What can I say?
What have you been up to since All Stars?
Wow. Well, a lot, given that All Stars was filmed right before COVID happened. And it seems like ages ago because it was like 3.5 years ago and I was 19. And now I am 22, a year out of college. So a lot. I finished college, graduated.
Very nice.
And now I'm working as a civil design engineer.
Nice.
And I've been on my job for like just over a year now. I started last March, and it's really cool so far. I really like it, and I like the people I work with a lot. Yeah, now that I'm graduated too, I've been getting like way back into like theater and dance, which I didn't have so much time to do in college. Like I did a cappella and stuff, but like before college, I did a lot of musical theater. And I just like didn't have time in undergrad, but now I'm doing like dance classes again, and I've been in like 3 musicals since graduating too. So
That's
yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, that's fun.
And also just like
musicals.
traveling as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, wait, what like organization are you doing the musicals through?
They've all been through different ones. There's actually a ton of community theaters in Southeast Michigan. Like I did one show with Dexter Community Players in Dexter, one show with Downriver Actors Guild, and that show was in Wyandotte.
Okay.
And then my most recent one was with Horizon Performing Arts, and then that show was in Ypsi. So there's like a ton around, and like I'm just in this Facebook group, and they have like all the auditions in there, and I've met a ton of cool people, and like we've done a lot of the same shows together too. So that's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Good way to like make friends post
Yeah.
grad too.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I should do that. I haven't
know,
acted in anything since high school, but maybe this is.
No, you totally should. And
Wait,
like,
you used
like,
to act?
it's
Well,
not just
I was in like
music,
2
too,
things
it's,
in
like,
high school.
plays and stuff.
Uh-huh.
What's the most recent musical you've done?
The most recent one was Seussical, which
Nice.
is like it's like a cute show. It's like kind of geared towards kids for the audience. Abby was in it too, actually.
Oh,
nice.
So we just today's Tuesday. We just closed on Sunday. So this was like this past weekend. Yeah.
So let me ask you something. In the Seussical, did you play the Lorax?
It's funny.
That's
No,
hilarious.
The Lorax is actually not a character in Seussical, surprisingly enough. But I suppose
it
that's like
wasn't an
really
idol.
fitting for me. Jesus Christ.
Even though the Lorax might not be a part of the story, there's still ways we can put it into the story. Like maybe it isn't the real idol, but it can still be in the episode. Even maybe it's not in the musical, but you can still bring some Lorax energy.
Yeah, I bring the Lorax energy anywhere I go.
Yeah.
You speak for the trees.
Always.
What has it been like watching the season back in general?
It's so interesting. I started out watching it with my parents, which was kind of fun. It's almost like watching back like a video diary of a point in your life. I feel like, except it's really interesting because like I don't remember so many things that happened. Like obviously I'm getting all the perspectives of everyone else now that I only had, such like a limited perspective of during the game. But also just like I see myself say things and I'm like, oh, when did I say that? Like I don't recall that at all. So it's really fun to watch. And sort of to like imagine like watching it as if I didn't actually know any of these people. So it's been really fun to go back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It does.
it's so weird that like the people on the show are just like real people that are like our friends and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like it seems everybody's such like a little character, and then like, you know, like I watched you or everybody else we interview like for all these episodes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm actually talking to Emily Beast. Like this is so weird. But,
Yeah, no, it's funny because everyone does like in the show seem to have such a distinct character, and like all the people commenting also feel like everyone has these distinct characters, but then I'm just like, oh yeah, like let me just like FaceTime with Bailey later, or like, oh yeah, I'll see y'all next month in Vegas, like, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely a distinct Emily Beast character in there. There's a Emily B. That you had a big impression on the audience. A lot of people were upset that you got voted off.
Yeah, I think it seems sort of like mixed looking. I feel like mostly people were happy that like the 7 was broken up and that there was like some kind of shakeup. There were like a few people rallying for me though. That were like, I think Emily B is actually playing a good game and you know could make it, which I appreciate. But yeah,
you definitely had some stands.
Yeah, that's nice.
I thought a lot of Emily B is the least annoying of the 7.
I did see that. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Least annoying of the 7. Although I saw another comment that was like, it was like, Emily, Bree, Leia, and Bailey are all insufferable.
Oh my god.
You know, real mixed opinions. But, you know, I mean, you can't make all the fans happy.
Yeah.
I think there's just enough people watching that you're going to see almost every opinion. You know, you're going to see every single person get some hate. You're going to see every single person have some stands. You know, it's at least
it's funny, like reading, you know, seeing how different what everyone thinks is. And it's also so different, I feel like, than what we all thought going through the game. You know, like people, for example, I feel like there's like Megan has like a ton of fans who like feel like she's playing an amazing game and like really want to see her win. And like I have nothing against Megan, but like from my perspective in the game, and I feel like from a lot of other people's perspective in the game, it's like it didn't seem like she was doing much at all, and it was kind of like Megan's a goat, like, you know. So it's really interesting to like see all the different perspectives.
Coming into the game, like what was something that you wanted to do differently? How did you want to play similarly? Like what was like your plan coming in?
I think, well, I mean, one thing that I wanted to do differently was try to put more of my thoughts out there, I guess, because I think season 3 I was very like I didn't know any Survivor beforehand, and I was very like, you know, in my head about it all, and like my mental health also like wasn't in a great place at that point, so I feel like I was very much just like playing to like have a good time, and like I didn't even film much at all or anything. So I was sort of like, I'm going to go in, I'm gonna film more, I'm gonna like actually make an effort to like so that people like know what I'm thinking and like what my plan is and like what's going on. And I knew that, I don't know, I mean, I knew that people weren't going to see me as a threat, and I wanted to like play on that because it'd be dumb not to, I feel like, because that can like take you a pretty far away. But I think I wanted to like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess why were my games similar? I'm just thinking about it now and comparing them, and like I feel like they were kind of similar.
I guess you did get the same place, but I feel like
there were more people in All Stars though.
That's true. That's true.
5 more eliminations. Well, also I feel like this time, and we were talking about this in the recap, and we were going through the 9th place rankings and be like, okay, like who has comparing the different placements. We had you as the number 1 9th placer, like ahead of your previous 9th place self. And like a lot of the things we were mentioning is like, well, this time like you like were in a power position for a long time, and like you specifically like at the merge, you know, you had the decision whether you're going to like flip or not, like into like vote off Nick or vote off me, or what were you going to do there, and like you had I think a lot more power this time. And you know, I feel like last time you kind of also got like I guess a bit screwed with like the swap and how that, or the demerge and how that worked out, but like yeah.
I think I like one thing that I think in season 3 I did is that I was like extremely loyal to like the first alliance that I made, really. And I guess that was sort of out of necessity due to just the intense dislike the other 2 tribes had for us because of Richard, probably. I don't know. But so that was kind of a necessity, but I wanted it to be different in All Stars. And like I think loyalty is a big part of my game, and it is like an important thing for me, but I wanted to be like keep my mind more open and like have other alliances and connections. And I think I did that in All Stars. And I think like I mean because I had my like original sangria people, but then I also, you know, went with like Bailey and Cooper, and then ended up in the 7 and stuff. So I definitely did feel like more in control of my game this time around than I did in season 3.
Yeah. One of the things too that I wanted to mention was I listened to that podcast about season 4.5, which like I didn't really ever know anything about season 4.5 because I didn't play that. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the channel and find the season 4.5 podcast. It's about an online season that was played in the summer between season 4 and season 5. And I thought that it was interesting. Like you had a video in there. I want to say you were saying like, yeah, I purposely, like I kind of wanted to play down my threat level because going in, I knew that like people would think about this game a lot going into All Stars, and I wanted to continue to keep my threat level low. Like I thought that was really interesting how you were kind of using that game as like, I don't know, like as a strategy.
Yeah, well that game was wrapping up. That like went into like the first week of school. So it was basically like final tribal council for that it fell like around the same time that we started All Stars. So it was like All Stars everyone was obsessed with it. Like it was on everyone's mind. That's all anyone could think about. Like people have been pre-gaming so hard. So it's like that is like the number one thing on everyone's mind. And I'm like, I'm about to send like a 3-minute video to like all these people I'm about to play All Stars with, like explaining my strategy and stuff. And I was like, that seems like a terrible idea. And I was like, I would rather be in a better spot for All Stars than like reveal how I think about the game to all these people for like the sake of 4.5. Because it's like, I mean, that's just like a summer game. Like I don't really care, you know? So it was just because it's like the two are really happening at the same time. I was like, the pre-gaming had already been happening. I didn't want to give an in-depth explanation to like why I did what I did. I just wanted to remain more mysterious than that.
Yeah.
Who won that season? Who won 4.5 again?
I think it was Chloe.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Chloe.
Yeah. And one thing I remember that was funny was like Chloe and I had an alliance between the two of us, and I think that like helped get us to the end. But one of her like big points in Final Tribal was that like she was like, I don't know, controlling what I was doing, or like she like I was like wrapped around her finger, you know, like whatever. But that was like wasn't true, because I mean I was like an equal part of like initiating that alliance, and like I didn't trust her the whole time, obviously, but I knew that it would get me further to be allies with her. But I like didn't go into that because I was like, I'm not going to go into that before All Stars.
Yeah. You know, let people think that I'll just do what they tell them, what they tell me, Yeah, sure.
No, I'm like, look,
yeah.
if people think that I'm just going to like do what they say and like I'll just like be a nice little ally, like, okay.
Let them think that, yeah.
And I feel like that it's like really smart, but it also does suck to like, it's whatever final tribal council of this game you just played and spent all this time on, and like you're kind of like holding back from like
yes. No, it did. I was like,
strategy.
it did kill me a little bit because I was like, it was very annoying. But All Stars was just bad. I took out my frustration by just like making some All Stars confessionals about it.
Makes sense.
Was there anyone who didn't play All Stars who you would have liked to work with?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Abby, definitely. Camila too.
Yeah, the acapella trio.
I know
the trio.
Oh yeah, they're all in the same
that
acapella group. If you don't know.
Yeah, no, I was definitely bummed and both of them didn't get on. It's hard though because like so many people wanted to do it and there just like was not enough space. But yeah, also I would have been really fun to play with Shannon. But I know she was like, I don't think she was interested in.
Yeah.
I wish she was.
Yeah.
It would have been so fun.
I like tried to. I feel like I texted her and she was like, no way in hell.
Yeah, she was no.
Like,
I think she would have been a great host though. I wish she was the host. Yeah.
Yeah, Shannon could have been host and Brady could have just played. And like he could have been on like Sangria and like won 100 immunities. Like it would have been great.
Would Brady have played if he didn't get host?
I think no. He's said that he would not have because he thinks that like he would have been too big of a threat and like voted off early or something.
Sure. He just probably didn't want to like get a worse place than he did the first time. Embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to. It is like tough coming back. I think the Brady would have had a tough. I don't know. That would have been interesting actually. I think he would have had he definitely would have had a target if he had come back. But also a lot of people had targets, so it would have been interesting to see him in there. But
yeah, and throwing him into the whole Aaron versus Paddock thing.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I would have loved to see Shannon be back, and like, what if Shannon's just like, I'm on a revenge tour now. Like, I don't care about like friendship. Like, I'm gonna like destroy everybody.
Dog's gotta eat.
Yeah, dog's gotta eat.
Dog's gotta kill. Yeah.
Anti-Leia. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of like Leia and the whole Friends, or like I guess her list and like the whole Friends controversy, like, what's your opinion on what everyone's been talking about with like this group of friends that's like impossible to break through? Like, do you think that really did make a big impact, or do you think it was just what was going on in the game at the time that like kept the friends together?
I think more of the latter, to be honest. Like obviously there were a lot of close friendships in that group, but it's not like the seven of us were all like BFFs who like hung out every single day. Like, I mean, like I would say like me, Adam were like maybe more on the outskirts. I don't know. I mean, Cooper and Leia, obviously close friends. Like Sam, you're close with them. Like, but the thing is, I always thought it's sort of like everybody's friends. And like when we all, go to the parties and tailgate and stuff, it's like everyone is there. So it's not as if it's like this group of friends and then these people who are like not friends with anybody. I think it's just kind of how the game shook out. I mean, clearly Leia was playing with that very much in her mind, but I don't think anyone else was really. And I think for everyone else, it was more just about strategy and like how things shook out. Because it's like if you like, sure, it's fun to play with your friends, but also like, I mean, you'll see your friends outside of the game too. So it's not like, I mean, when I got voted out, like I was like coming up with a plan to get rid of Bailey, and like Bailey was one of my best friends. So it's like,
that's true.
Yeah. I think that was more the friend perspective of it, I think that was more like Leia's motivation. And then for everyone else, it seemed to be just more of a strategy thing and how it all shook out. What do you think, Sam? Like, you were in the
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Like, it definitely was a big part of Leia's strategy, but it a lot of us were friends with each other, and it doesn't mean, I feel like there's just All Stars is a relationship driven game, and any returnee season is going to be based around relationships, and everybody has relationships with each other. Some people are more connected than others, but it's not like everyone has equal connections with every other person. But it also isn't necessarily like, oh, there's an exclusive group that are friends and like no one else is friends. Like, no, like we were all hanging out. And yeah, as far as the 7 goes, like I do think that, like, I mean, I was similar boat with you. Like, I wanted a lot of people in the 7 voted off. Like, I didn't really, like I was in with the 7 because I was going to get voted off, and this was a group of people that was not going to write my name down. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't want to get voted off this tribal council, so I'll vote with whatever, Bailey and Cooper and Emily. This is great. It's not me getting voted off. So for me, it was more, survival driven than anything else. And I was just looking for an excuse to escape the 7, which is like, reminds me of like I was trying about those texts I had sent to Megan being like, yo, we got to get, like, Bailey has too much power. We need to get Bailey out. And then those all got sent around. I was going to ask you about that. Like, did you ever consider flipping from the 7? Like, I know you were thinking about doing it eventually on Bailey, but like those weeks that Kevin and Sarah went home, like, did you consider it then, or like that week that and that you got voted off that Andrew's going to go home?
I would say that the first week of those with Kevin, I really didn't consider it.
Yeah.
Kevin didn't really make a strong argument, in my opinion. It just would have benefited his game, and I think it was just too early at that point.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have helped my game. Kevin was just like spewing bullshit at me also. Like, I haven't seen that full episode yet, but I was like watching some of the clips and like, Jesus Christ, he was like really laying into me.
Yeah.
But I memean, he was like, she's like not even having fun. She looks depressed every time I see her. And like, like, we're both secondary players, but at least I'm having fun with it or whatever. And it's like, I was having fun. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to like shoot my game in the foot and steamroll my allies in order to have fun.
Yeah, you're not having fun by Kevin's standards. Which Kevin's standards are like.
I think Kevin made a lot of really dumb moves in the game, and I don't think it was in my best interest at all to flip that week. So I was not considering it that week. The next week with Sarah, I was considering it. I think honestly one of my mistakes in the game, or like something like looking back now, I wish I had done differently. I think like both the week that I was voted out and the week prior with Sarah, I think I just couldn't decide on like what the right time was to make the move. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I defaulted to like waiting. Yeah. And looking back on it now, like maybe like one of those weeks I should have flipped. Like maybe I should have flipped with Sarah that week. I mean, I think I still like made the best decision that I could have at the time, like with the knowledge I had. But I sort of, in my mind, I was just like, I feel like within the 7, I felt like within the 7, I was in a good spot because I had that alliance of 4 within the 7. Plus, I sort of had the alliance of, like, me, Cooper, and Bailey. So I sort of like felt very interconnected in these different groups.
You were in a good spot in the 7.
What?
You were in a good spot.
So I was.
Why would you need to flip,
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, like, the main reason to flip at that point would just be to avoid someone else flipping first, But I think at that point, I sort of at least like the week with Sarah, I still thought that it seemed like in everyone's best interest in the 7 to stick with that for the time being. So I was like, I don't really think anyone else is going to flip. So there's no reason for me to flip, because the main reason to flip would be to counteract a flip of someone else. So, I mean, looking back now, obviously knowing that you guys did flip, like next week, like sure, I maybe wish that I had flipped first. But
Yeah.
it was like a tough call, I feel like. So
definitely. And like, I mean, in your mind too, you know, the reason Cooper flipped is because of this like girls alliance, this whatever Jesse's Revenge alliance. But I'm sure in your mind you're thinking like, well, I want to flip on Bailey at some point. Like, that wasn't necessarily the final 4 that you wanted. So like, were you surprised that was the reason, or did you feel like, oh, like wow, like Cooper didn't even need to be that worried about this? Like, how did you feel knowing that was the reason that, you know, he ended up flipping, and ultimately, you know, myself and Adam too?
I mean, obviously I don't feel great about it. I mean, that is not the final 4 that I wanted at the end, because I wanted to get Bailey out before that. So
yeah.
I think I would have been fine. I certainly wanted to be at the end with Brie, because I think of like all the people in the 7, she was one of like the lower threats at the end of the game. I sort of like, I didn't like, I was sort of like maybe Cooper for the other person. I don't know. Like, I sort of thought you would be like too big of a threat, Sam. And like, also I knew Adam like wanted to get you out too. So I was like, okay, like I can take out Bailey, Adam can take out Sam, like, you know. But I didn't want to be at the end with Bailey, because I think she was like one of my original allies, and my game was always very interconnected with hers. I knew that the perception would be that Bailey was running the show and that I wasn't, which I don't feel like that is in actuality how it was, because I mean, I wasn't blindly following Bailey around. You know what I mean? Like I was purposefully playing a quieter game to get myself further. And I think given like other people's perception of me in the game, I think that was a good choice to make to get me further in the game. And because I don't think Survivor's all about just making big moves all the time. So maybe it's like fun TV or whatever. I really wasn't trying to focus on like making it a fun performance for the audience or whatever. Like, I was thinking about like, what is going to get me the furthest, and then what can I do once I get there to win. So then that's when the getting Bailey thing came out, because I was like, I'm not going to win against her, because people's perception is that I just do whatever she says. So then in turn, if I got her out, that could be the key move that would help me win if I were to get to the end.
And a lot of the time, you just need that one big move.
Exactly. Like, I think it's smarter to do that. And I don't think winning needs to be all about making big moves all the time. It's like playing the best overall game.
Right.
And if you make, you know, the key big move you need to, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you come out the gate and just keep making big moves from the beginning, like you said, like you're just gonna be gone.
Yeah. And I mean, sure, that's like chaotic and fun to watch and whatever, but I don't think it's smart if you want to get to the end of the game, because it's like you can make all the big moves you want and they're cool to talk about at Final Tribal, but like you can't talk about them unless you actually make it there.
Right.
Yeah. So you did have this plan in the back of your head to take out Bailey, you know, and Adam's asking you about it, what your plan is, but you decided not to tell him about this plan in kind of a funny little scene. I don't know if you've seen the.
Oh yeah,
I haven't, but I remember the conversation. Yeah, I think that was because I feel like one of the number one things that had been like drilled into my head by everyone who knew more Survivor than me was like, never tell anyone you have an idol. Like, always keep
Mhm.
that shit completely secret. So I was like terrified of telling anyone that I had an idol at all. And in retrospect, looking back, I should have told him the full plan. I think, like, I don't know. I don't know if I had done that, would things have turned out differently? I don't know. But I think it would have been like a moment that would make sense to tell someone about it. I think I was just scared because that was like one of the number one pieces of advice that people had given to me. Like, that's something you
It's
should
good
look
advice,
for,
I think.
Good advice.
you know. So yeah,
I feel
But
like
it did look a
yeah.
little silly.
Mhm.
I'm actually impressed that you didn't tell anyone. I feel like it's easier said than done because a lot of the times it's like everyone goes in being like, if I found an idol, I wouldn't tell anyone. But then like in the moment, like I get to feel like Jack knows. Like
Yeah, that was literally
it's
me.
like sometimes easier just to like tell the people you're working with. So
There were so many times when I wanted to.
Mhm.
And like there would have been so many good times where like, it would have been so sick if I had just come in like, oh well, guess what? Like I have the idol. This changed all our plans. But no. And it's got no. So I was just sitting on that the whole season. And I was just in my head, I'm like, hee hee hee.
Excited to. So was your move going to be to like play the idol on Adam and then like whatever you guys vote for Bailey or something like that?
I'm trying to remember. This was so long ago. Let's see. I think yes, that is what I was trying to do. Yeah, pretty much.
So you're not only gonna get out Bailey, you're also gonna pull out the idol. That's like a double big move.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like.
Jerry's gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
I know. I thought it
Yeah.
would have been like the most slick
Mhm.
thing. Yeah, and you know, I can't reveal if the idol was real or not.
Right.
But
Mhm.
if it was real and the flip didn't happen and that did work, I think it would have been cool. But
I mean, yeah, we haven't really touched on the Pringle idol yet, but that was a big like storyline in this season, still ongoing storyline. And I think it's also funny that like it's both you and Andrew who are like the two Sabu Sabu people, kind of like tied together with this little storyline. So what did it feel like? Like, do you want to talk about just like finding the idol and like what it felt like?
Yeah, sure. It was very thrilling when I found it because I'm trying to remember what happened that night prior to this, but I think it wasn't like everyone was given a clue. It was like when we were all out searching.
Yeah. I remember this.
I have a cough. We were like all out searching at night, all around like the power center area, and then my tribe, we head over across the street to like where the Pringle is and like that building, and like we're all searching there and stuff. And when we're like walking over there and crossing the street, I'm like, I want to break off from the group to just like look on my own for like a hot sec. So they all kind of like curve around one way and I curve around the other way. And I'm like looking and I'm like feeling on top of the thing. And then like I feel it and I like look and it's the baggie and I'm like, holy shit. And it was like my heart was racing because my whole tribe was like not 10 feet away from me.
That's
and like
crazy.
they were about to like come around the corner basically. So I like as fast as possible put it in my backpack, and like I had just put my backpack back on my back when they like came around the corner. And I was like, and I just had to be like, oh, you guys find anything? Like, I'm just like looking up here, whatever. But like meanwhile, it's like my heart is beating so fast, and I was like, holy shit. Like, and then after a few like minutes, I'm like, okay, oh my god, they didn't realize that I had it. And it was like the most exciting feeling ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was.
So I don't think you were on like anybody's radar for like having had it. Like
I wasn't, and it was
Mhm.
funny to watch because people had so many ideas about who had it. Like, oh, we think Kevin has it. We think Leo has it, and I'm like, oh, really? Like, that's so like,
It is
cool.
really funny. Like in the episodes, watching you like blame other like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's like this person.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, yeah.
No, if anything, I kept that secret very
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Did you?
Okay.
So, oh, never mind.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna jump into some Discord questions.
Ooh,
We got
Yeah?
like quite a
Go
few
for
for
it.
you.
okay.
I know this is usually Jack's segment.
you
I'm
can
like,
do it. It doesn't have to be my segment.
no, it's your segment. You should kick it off. Jack
Okay.
asks the Discord. He's
I
like
think
the one.
Sam asked it this time.
Oh,
Yeah, it's either
Mhm.
one of us.
I'll just do it. So Sasha Willow in the Discord says that just wants to let you know that they stan you. So
Aw,
that's one of the
Thanks,
Emily
Sasha.
Beast stands. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, so this is kind of related to what we were just talking about. So, Big Mike asked that the show hammered home like Andrew's like constant doubts about his idol's authenticity. So, did you have any like similar doubts that were not included in the episodes? And also, this I don't know if this might get into spoiler territory or not, but I don't know.
I think like whenever I heard the talk of like who people thought had the idol and like heard the reason behind it, yes, which I think is natural, but overall I was pretty confident because I had like seen what the real idols like look like, and I knew it's the bag, it's the paper
Yeah.
towel, it's the piece of paper that it has the exact right font, exact right style, and like I had seen some of these fake idols and what they look like, and I'm like, this has all of the characteristics that it needs to be real. This is like the second or third week of, I don't remember when it was, but it's like very early in the game. It's exactly where it was supposed to be. Like it was only on, like all the clues hadn't been given out for it yet.
It's not a Dr. Seuss character.
You know, exactly. You know, it was real, so
Mhm.
I was pretty confident.
Makes sense. Yeah, Jackson's fakes were like, as soon as you knew what the real idol looked like, it was so easy to tell with
Yeah.
Jackson's fakes with that they were just one of his. Like all that same white paper, like teeny little necklace.
White paper, such a giveaway.
Yeah. Come on, Jackson. Should have stained it in coffee or something.
Yeah, really.
So going all the way back to the post swap pre merge, who would you have targeted if Odawa 3.0 went to tribal?
Okay.
Who was on the tribe again?
We need a review. Who was
Yeah.
on the tribe?
yeah.
at
Who
this
was
point?
that?
It was us two.
After the first swap.
Yeah.
This is the second. Yeah. This is the second swap.
Which
Was this like when the scavenger hunt happened?
Yeah, this is the five of it was
Mhm.
me, you, Megan, Adam, and Kevin.
Okay.
wait, was this the tribe that you were the captain, Emily? Was this the Emily captain tribe?
No, that
Oh.
was when we did the like the wrestling
Yeah.
at the volleyball courts. And that was when
This one Will went home.
yeah, that was when Will went home, and then Jesse joined our tribe. So it was us two, Adam, Megan, Kevin. I definitely wanted to work with you, Sam, and Adam.
Yeah.
Kevin probably would have been my first target. I feel like I could have gotten. I feel like people would have been on board with that.
Yeah. No, I think that definitely makes sense. I think that probably all of us would have been on board for that.
Yeah, because I think Megan would have just been happy that it wasn't on her. And I think yeah, people thought Kevin was too chaotic for anyone to really trust him. So I think, yeah, I probably would have gone for him.
Makes sense. I've heard I feel like someone has brought up like the potential of Cooper could have used his whatever it was, his ghost vote to maybe like work with Megan and Kevin and try to like blindside one of us. I feel like that sounds pretty convoluted. Maybe it would have worked. I don't know.
That's interesting. I don't know if Cooper was like thinking ahead that much at that point. Like,
Yeah.
I guess he probably would have gone for you if he had done that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because this would have been after like me and Adam and Kevin had just worked together and tried to get Cooper out at like the combined table.
Okay, sure. So
maybe he would have tried to do something.
A little
I don't know.
Because he actually used it when it was the Lucy, Leia, Andrew tribal. Yeah, I don't know. I sort of think at that point it was still early enough and there were still enough people that Cooper would probably want to save that for like a more key moment, you know? That would be like my gut instinct, but
yeah.
Maybe we can ask him whenever we have him on.
True.
So actually that I had another question I just thought of. So like there were a few times in the game where like you opted to go for advantages rather than immunity, or just like I feel like you were always like just picking up all the different advantages and stuff. So like what kind of made you want to go towards getting more advantage, I guess, than in situations where you could have played for immunity or what have you?
I think because in the weeks that I did that, I did feel like I was in a really good position with all the connections that I had. And I think that it shook out as that was actually the case. Like any of the weeks when I played for the advantages, like I didn't end up being in any danger. And you know, I was like, I'm not gonna be the target right now, so like might as well go for something that like I could actually use maybe.
And I don't think you were really ever like you weren't targeted, you know, this week because your advantages or anything really. I don't think.
Yeah, well, because also like that, like one of the advantages, like I had like the post vote out one, like that was kind of a shitty advantage. So, and I shared it with everyone. So I don't think that made me.
It was a good decision, I think. Like, because it took off any suspicion that like, of like what your advantage was, and also like should have incentivized like, oh, we shouldn't, you know, you shouldn't cross Emily because then she might vote for me, and with her like ghost vote.
Yeah, that was my thought process with it. Like when I saw it, I was kind of bummed, but I figured that there wasn't any like plus side to keeping it a secret, because number one, people like if I did, people could think it's something worse than it is, and that could make them target me, and all this would do would maybe de-incentivize people from targeting me, you know, because I can vote for them later and no one else can use that advantage. So I think I made the right decision by sharing that with everyone.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah,
I feel like you played all your advantages pretty well. Like you didn't tell anyone about the idol, but you shared the advantages when you had to.
And the clues,
And you also got an advantage or a clue at like right before you're voted off at that like combined
the scramble one.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what happened there. That was
the one that you and Leia were trying to find in the courtyard, right, Sam?
Yeah. It was just I think it was the courtyard clue, which like
it was, and I think it was when I saw it, I think like either someone had already found that or like there already been like a lot of clues out about that, so it was like likely already found.
Yeah, I think it was said it was in a special courtyard or something. One of the things I remember that annoyed me at the time was like I spent hours looking for these clues, and like I would finally like it felt like finding an idol. Like I'd finally find the next clue. Then like the very next challenge, the next day, like someone just like be handed the clue. I'm like, okay, like this is pointless.
Yeah.
Then, like find it again. Next challenge, like, okay, here's the clue. I'll hand the next clue to the next person. Like,
Yeah, I think the clues were definitely frustrating because it's like any of those like first round clues were, I feel like they were so unhelpful, so vague. Yeah. And there's still the whole thing that happened with like the library idol. That was that was so frustrating because like I guess even if I had found that myself first, like, and found all the clues, like the other people still, once the 24 hours were up, they were still able to like go through and get all of them.
Right.
So I think that one having the 24-hour advantage, like I don't think that didn't really help. Like it couldn't have like prevented other people from finding the info like any more than I already did. So it was really just about like who said it first at Tribal.
And then I thought it was like it's kind of funny how like Bailey is like, oh, we'll scratch it out to make sure other people can't read it. And then like everyone's just gonna naturally like blame you because like, they don't know that Bailey and Cooper have seen this clue. It's like, I feel like I remember in the episode you were like freaking out, like, oh no, like now everyone's seeing this blacked out clue. They're just gonna assume that I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did appear very freaked out. I was just watching some of those clips. Yeah, because naturally, I'm the one who had it for 24 hours, so I was going to be everyone's target with that anyway. So I don't know. I don't think that's like a big enough thing for people to specifically target me for that. No. So like,
whatever you said must have been really convincing because like I fully believed you that like you had nothing to do with it. Like I remember thinking that like, oh, it probably was like Kevin or something. Like this seems like something Kevin would do. Like I definitely like, even though it seemed like obvious that it was probably you, it was like for whatever reason I was like, no, like I don't think Emily did that. Like you must have just played it off really well.
Yeah, well, I guess I told the story well.
I guess for both of you guys, did playing All Stars affect your studies at all? I'm like actually curious. It seemed like y'all were doing a lot.
I would say sort of, yes. Not to the point where I did like drastically worse in any of my classes than I would have originally, but it's definitely a time consuming thing, and it definitely consumes like a lot of your mind all the time, even if you're not like in an active meeting or anything. So I definitely didn't study like as much that semester as I did other semesters, but I didn't run into any terrible train wrecks because of it, so that's good at least.
That's good. It's good time management then. Able to handle it.
It did improve my time management skills, absolutely. So some could say it even was a plus for my academic career.
There you go. Good for your life skills at least.
Exactly.
Because I
would say like I feel like because I had like executive producer on my resume as like one of my like college activities or whatever, I feel like any like job interview that I've had, they always ask about it, and like interviewers love talking about this. Like they're all like so fascinated, and they're like, that's so cool. So that's also been a plus.
That's awesome. I gotta put it on my resume.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I think I've definitely talked about it in a couple interviews. Like computer science stuff. And yeah, you're an engineer, and it's very different. But
yeah, it's like more like theater stuff, film.
No, I almost failed Gen Chem because of Survivor. I like barely passed, barely made it through.
Oh my god!
I remember there's a really huge EECS project, or the computer science project, that started like right when I got voted out of season 4. So I was like, you know what, this is probably good timing. I need to focus on this project.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was harder for me during season 3 than All Stars. Like I think that affected school more because that semester also like I was in like Diffie Q and Thermo. And like structural
Oof.
engineering, I think. So it was
Oh
like a
my
bunch
God.
of
Engineering
really hard classes
Yeah.
all together. So
211, 235, and
yeah. Ooh, and I'm not a fan of thermo, so that was, whew, that was a tough semester.
Wait, who'd you have for thermo? Do you remember?
I had Clack.
Oh,
for
okay.
thermo.
Yeah.
He like did all of the. It was like specific to like CE.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't. It probably didn't overlap.
Slightly different one, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like because it was the class. It was like thermodynamics and the environment or whatever. It was like geared towards civil.
Yeah, man. It's giving me like war flashbacks to
Yeah.
trying to do this.
Yeah, no, and it's
Mhm.
funny because it's like, dude, engineering school is so hard.
It's so hard.
Oh
my god.
But like, I must say, having an engineering job is much more pleasant and manageable. I feel like I'm not dying all the
That's
time.
good.
Yeah, I know. It's much different. It's much different.
Yes.
If it was anything like the homeworks, then nobody would survive it.
Oh yeah, and just
Yeah.
the average is so low on everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're like a real hit to your
Yeah,
self-esteem.
it's like discouraging.
It is kind of
Mhm.
because it's like, you know, the average test averages will be in the 50s, but then they'll still sometimes, it depends on the professor, but sometimes they would curve it at the end, and then like I had one class where like I was always getting like 60s on the exams, but then I got an A in the class, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, 60 is 65 is like a great grade in a lot of these classes.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, shouldn't I know more of this? But but I guess it does prepare you well.
Yeah, anything that wasn't shown in your edit that you want to talk about? Or that you wish was like shown more? I feel like Ian does a pretty good job of trying to give everyone
Yeah,
like, a full story.
he has done a really good job. It's hard because I like haven't seen the entirety of it yet, so I don't know.
Wait,
all
what
of it.
episode are you on? Or have you just watched like bits and pieces?
No,
of
so
every
I've seen all the way through episode 7 like fully, and
Okay.
then the other ones I've seen like 2/3 of the one where I was voted out, like the last 2/3 because I had something, but then I got home and I like watched it live.
Mhm.
And then the other ones I've like seen bits and pieces because I was reviewing, okay, like what happened here, like what challenge was this, like who was voted out, what alliance conversations was I having this week.
Mhm.
But I need to like, I'm probably after this I'll go start episode 8. Keep watching. But yeah, honestly I think like, well, I filmed a lot. Like Ian kept texting me and saying like, you filmed more this week than like all the other contestants combined or something. Like
Right, I didn't know that. That's like some good info.
I went like off the rails with
love
filming.
that.
Like I was filming so much all the time. I think part of that was like brought on by the fact that I didn't film very much season 3, and like people were not shy about like letting me know that. They were like, you didn't film anything, like there's whatever. So I was like, okay, that's not going to be a problem this time.
Right.
I filmed so much. So I'm sure I talked so much about so many things that weren't included, but I think so far from what I've seen, I think he does a pretty good job of like getting kind of like the key things in. So I don't really have any complaints with like how the edits have gone.
That's good.
I mean, it's obviously super hard to like, there's so much footage from everyone and you have to come up with a story, and then you only have so much time, and like it's a really hard job.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of storylines to balance for 21 people.
Yes. And like you also, where you like want to end up, and like how are you gonna like get to where you want to be, and like portray who wins and stuff without giving it away. And
Yeah.
Oh, well, I feel like it's late for you, Emily. Like us,
Yeah.
we're on the West Coast, but you're still on the
it is
East
yes.
East Coast time.
On the Beast Coast.
Beast
Whoa.
Coast.
The Beast Coast time. It's been great talking with you, Emily. Great.
Yeah,
Great
thank you
catching
for
up.
having me on the podcast. Very cool.
Excited
Yeah, it was
to
good to
see
like
you soon.
talk everything over and stuff. And yeah, I'll see you two soon.
All right. Good night. See you later.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye guys. Good talking.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.